Hello. Yeah. So in the last two few sessions, we discussed about the history and some basic things regarding somewhat related to how the optical fibers and where they are used. Now coming to the basic principle of the wave propagation, how it is happening in the optical fiber that we are going to learn today. So under the heading ray theory. So ray theory mainly it is going to deal with what are the different types of light rays which are available. So to we can begin our journey of propagation of information through the optical fiber. So before we'll begin today's discussion, you keep in mind two things. One thing, the optical fiber, as you can see here, it has got two parts, the central core and its outer covering cladding. So this main point you have to remember. So this one is important. Always you have to keep it in mind. Second thing, ray theory basically is going to deal with types of rays which are helping us to carry the information throughout the optical fiber. Basically, it is its main purpose is that only. So if you look at this one, so first point considering here uh, core and cladding. By structure itself, the core has got refractive index N1 as it is visible in the figure, and cladding it has been shown having the refractive index N2, and this N it is indicating the refractive index of the ear through which our ray of light is about to enter into the optical fiber. So three refractive indexes are there that you keep in mind. Regarding the second point, different types of rays. Already briefly I have given you the glimpse of these types of rays in the previous few classes. Skewed rays and meridional rays. Skewed rays are something when they will strike at the mouth of the core of the fiber. Of course, they will be allowed to enter the core or maybe cladding depending on their path of propagation. But they are not confined to the single plane. What do you mean by that? They are not confined to the single plane. They are instead they are confined to the multiple planes. As you can see in this figure, we got here different planes visible. One outside the fiber, you can see here the air is there. That is one plane acting like one plane, having the refractive index n, through which our ray of light is entering into the optical fiber. Coming to the optical fiber, it has got two different planes. Planes are nothing but regions, places through which your ray of light is propagating or traveling. Core is one plane and cladding is one plane. And we all know that refraction or dispersion are the types of distortions which are not which are actually leading to the leakage of information. Okay, we'll restrict the discussion to the types of rays. Now I am discussing about the skewed rays. Skewed ray is a type of array when it will strike at the mouth of the core of the optical fiber, that is not confined to the single plane. As it is, you can see this or you are observing, no. So this one ray, it is confined to the wall of the core only. Even that is not passing through the core cladding interface and entering into the cladding. So this is happening only when it will experience a total internal reflection. So that's why TIR is important. Only those rays which are following the phenomena of TIR will experience or confined to the wall of the core. And only those rays which are confined to the single wall will contribute or help us for the propagation of information. So those rays are such kind of rays which are confined to the single plane are actually coming under the category, that is second category of types of rays, that is meridional rays. Again, there are two subtypes. Bounded rays like this one, which is totally bounded to one plane, wall of the core. Striking the wall of the core again and passing and propagating along throughout the axis of the fiber. You can see axis of the fiber shown by the dashed line. Unbounded rays are not confined to the single plane like a core. Some part of it will also disperse or refract through the cladding. Some leakage will be there, which are coming under unbounded meridional rays. So meridional rays are confined to the one or more than one, maybe two planes, not more than two. But coming to the skewed rays, they are not confined to the one or two planes. They are confined to the multiple planes. Why? Where multiple planes we are getting here? Of course, we have multiple planes which are repeating again and again like that. Means core cladding, core cladding, core cladding like that, or maybe so how it is going to happen? Core cladding like that. That pattern for our optical ray to face. It depends on the shape of the ray. If the path of the optical ray is very zigzag, it is very zigzag path, then once it will enter into the core, then next time it will enter the cladding, then next again coming to the core, then again going to the cladding like that. It is changing its plane multiple times, core cladding. That's why it is going to make us to have having transversing through multiple planes. Of course, we have only two planes, but it is passing through multiple times. Sorry, core cladding many times. That will bring us multiple planes. So it is happening because of its zigzag path. It totally depends on the shape of the path of the optical ray. That will gives its name skew means zigzag random path, skewed rays. No, these are the two types of optical rays that what we just seen. But which kind of rays are actually helping us to define or describe or actually to explain the characteristics of these optical rays passing through the propagating through the optical fiber? Skewed rays or meridional rays? Of course, both rays will help us. But skewed rays are difficult mathematically it is difficult because if I'll ask you to draw one random path and ask you to characterize it, describe it, what is its slope, what is its length, at what, how many times it is bending, at what angle it is bending, and each point what is the angle of incidence and reflection. If I'll ask you all those things and mathematically you need to calculate, it requires more time, computationally cumbersome. Not possible, not impossible. I'm telling you, it is possible, but mathematically it is a difficult one. We can characterize, but in order to make this description of the behavior of the optical ray, so if you we want to really understand how the optical rays are behaving once they will enter into this core cladding or optical fiber, inside the optical fiber, how they are behaving, then meridional rays are very simple for us to take an example to be considered here. So that's why we are considering today's discussion, the ray theory, we are considering the meridional rays. So another thing you're observing in the figure, ray representation of meridional rays in an ideal step index optical fiber waveguide. So this one I want to leave right now for a moment. Later we are going to discuss in detail types of optical fibers. Ideal step index. Step index is a one word keyword coming to the optical domain, that you just take it as it is. We'll discuss it later in detail. And now we are considering the single mode. Again, two types of fibers are coming: single mode and multiple mode. Single mode means the optical fiber which is carrying single ray. Only one ray is propagating throughout the optical fiber along its fiber axis. ಒಂದೇ ray flow ಆಗ್ತದೆ, propagate ಆಗ್ತದೆ. That is called single mode. See, mode is not related to the planes, how many planes it is confined. As you can see, single mode, that how we categorized the rays. Meridional rays are confined to one or two planes. Skewed rays are confined to multiple planes. That is different. But here mode is different. Mode, it will indicate the path of optical ray, path of transversal of the optical ray, or transversal of the optical ray. That's all. Single ray is propagating single mode. It is carrying single information. This is also another key point you remember from now onwards. Single mode means single ray, single path, defined shape will be there, and it is carrying single information. Multiple mode means multiple rays, multiple paths will be there, carrying multiple informations. Single mode fiber, multi-mode fiber. And as you are observing this figure, it is written ideal step index. It is also known as step index single mode fiber. We are considering step index single mode fiber for the discussion of ray theory. Understanding? Step index single mode fiber. You can see you are observing only single ray is shown. That's what is single mode. Understanding? We are not considering multiple rays. Again, it is going to be another topic to be discussed. So let us coming to the ray theory here to explain this figure. We got two media here. Here having a refractive index n through which optical ray is incident at the fiber axis of the core at an angle theta naught. Then there is also another angle that is happening inside the core, that is called theta, which depends on this theta naught, with which angle the ray is going to incident at the mouth of the core. Now your ray of light is entering from air to having refractive index n to core having refractive index n1. Obviously, we have told that n1 is normally kept more than n2 because to satisfy this total internal reflection for the optical rays to propagate, to help propagation of optical rays throughout the fiber axis. That is important. So while doing so, there is some minimum angle at which this ray, optical ray, is going to strike at the mouth at this point. From the medium of refractive index n, which is at an angle theta naught with respect to fiber axis, this one, the light enters the fiber core that we have discussed. If the light strikes at such an angle, then it gets reflected internally, and the meridional rays moves in a zigzag path along the fiber core. That is called pi minimum. So this theta, we are going to call it by another name, that is a pi minimum. Pi minimum is an angle. If you get any ray which is having angle less than this theta, or pi minimum, then it will not undergo TIR. Understanding? Theta naught will make this ray of light to experience some minimum angle, that is theta or pi minimum, both are same. That is mainly contributing for the TIR and supporting for the propagation of optical rays throughout the optical fiber. That is pi minimum. If we get the ray of light entering the core at the angle other than pi minimum, then it will not undergo TIR. Okay, that is called pi minimum. That is the one threshold they have kept. So if the ray strikes at the core cladding interface at an angle less than pi minimum, then they get refracted. Refraction will takes place and lost from the cladding. You can see it has been shown here. We are going to lose the information in the form of refraction. So when it will occur, if your ray of light will experience angle less than theta or pi minimum, then it will not suffer from the TIR and it will instead suffer from the refraction. So there are some relations are there. So this already I have told. We are going to derive these formulas later. Relationship between theta max, the maximum angle at which the ray of light is going to strike at the mouth of the ear fiber interface. N sin theta max, N is the refractive index of ear, theta max, sin theta max, the maximum angle at which the ray of light is striking at the fiber axis from the ear fiber interface, equal to N1, that is the refractive index of the core, into sin theta c. Theta c, it will indicate the critical angle that is mainly responsible for the TIR. That is equal to square root of N1 square minus N2 square. Not to worry, now we are going to derive these things later. Right now, why I am putting these things in the square box, some as a set of formulas for you to help in understanding the numericals. Now theta c will also be critical angle that is equal to 90 minus theta naught from the figure you can see. Later we'll try to deal with them in detail with the geometry. Now the relationship between the numerical aperture and the theta max, Na equal to n psi theta max. So this problem already I have discussed in the last class. Let us deal with once again to help you to understand it in detail. An optical fiber has Na, that is a numerical aperture. Numerical aperture, for you to understand just fine. Aperture is nothing but effective area. So what optical fiber you are observing, no? So this core is totally open to receive the light. Okay. So this core, if you look from the front, looks like if you take the cross section, it looks like a circle. Okay. If I say the cross sectional area of the core, it's nothing but cross sectional area of the circle itself. The whole cross sectional area of the core is not responsible for the receiving the whole light effectively. For example, say if the cross sectional area of the core is 2 1.5 centimeter square, the whole 1.5 centimeter square area of this core is not responsible, is not receiving the all light. Out of 1.5 square centimeter square, maybe 0.8 centimeter square is going to receive the maximum light effectively. That is called aperture. Okay. And now it is named as a numerical aperture. That why it is called numerical aperture, we'll see later. But right now, for you to understand this problem, aperture, numerical aperture, it is a dimensionless quantity. It is indicating uh, the effective area of the core of the fiber that is receiving the light uh, maximum light it is receiving. The cladding refractive index here is given 1.6. Determine what is telling acceptance angle of the fiber in the water, which has a refractive index 1.33. Acceptance angle of the fiber for the fiber means at what angle it is going to receive the maximum light. That is called acceptance angle. So the relationship is mentioned here. Now what is given in the problem, you note down first numerical aperture of 0.2 and N1 it is given. N1 is there. Cladding refractive index. Cladding means always I told it is N1. You can see the figure. Oh, sorry, here it is N1 means core he has taken. Okay, you take it as cladding refractive index, you took it as N1. Okay, you take no problem. But you have to define N1 means cladding you are taking. Acceptance angle by the acceptance by the water. You should know the refractive index of water. I have told you have to remember refractive indices of three things at least: water, glass, and air. Air already we know it is going to be very much negligible. Now numerical aperture and n sin theta a, the relationship is given here. So expectance angle theta a will get sin inverse of Na by n. Na is given 0.2 and n1 is 1.59. And this calculation I will do, that is also important. Listen here, all guys. This is very important. I am telling you. Normally, these angles we are getting in the radians. You calculate it at your home with this one sine inverse. Whatever the values you are getting, trigonometric evaluated trigonometric values, sine of something or sin inverse of something, tan of something or cos of something are actually in the radians. But you have to mention the answer in the degrees. Okay. I hope you know how to keep in the mode, the calculator mode in the degree or radians. Hope you, I want all of you to work out this problem, a very simple problem. Remember one thing I want to tell you here, mention in this optical fiber subject, all the problems are very simple. You need to remember the formulas correctly and use the calculators properly. ಒಮ್ಮೆ ಏನಾಗ್ತೈತಿ ನೀವು ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟರ್ಸ್ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಬಂದಿರ್ತೈತಿ, you end up the answer by keeping it in the radians. You lose the marks. Okay, so this is very important, very important I am telling you. So second one, the critical angle at the core cladding interface, the relationship between Na and two refractive indices, core and cladding. So N1 is given, cladding refractive index quarter, core the refractive index I will find out by using the relationship between the theta c and N1 and N2. You can substitute the things, will get the critical, sorry, this one we are using for finding the critical angle. Okay, so by this Na is given, N1 is given, N2 will get it here. Once we will get N2, we can easily find out the critical angle. This is so. After 2, the actually we need to find out the critical angle. No, now to find out the critical angle, we need to know the refractive indices of both the core and cladding. Only cladding is given, the core will get by using the relationship between Na and the refractive indices. That's all. So this is how you to try to be careful in dealing with these problems. Problems are very simple. Only thing to have to remember, you should know exactly which formula you have to use depending on the problem or situation, and you should know the formula correctly. And second thing, the calculation part, that is very important. So going to the ray transmission theory, uh, we know that ray transmission theory, it basically deals with characterizing how the ray is going to behave, optical ray is going to behave when it is propagating through the optical fiber. That's what we are going to study as the purpose of the ray transmission theory. And we all know that in free space, the light velocity of light is 3 into 10 to the power of 8 meter per second. When light travels through the material, it exhibits certain behavior which are actually governed by some laws, optical laws. We already know that one. One is, sorry, law of reflection. By this figure, you can easily understand. Let us enlarge this. Okay. When light reflect incident at particular angle pi 1, it got reflected from the reflective surface. Here, reflective surface, you can consider the core of the fiber. Okay. Got reflected at an angle pi 2. So, angle of incidence and angle of reflection are same. That is a law of reflection. And this dotted line, what you are seeing, it is a normal to reflective surface. That is always going to be orthogonal to the reflective surface. Orthogonal means 90 degree. They all 90 degree ಇರ್ತದೆ. Normal means you always get in mind it is 90 degree. And what optical ray is going to make an angle when it is going to incident at this particular point, that should be same as the angle it is going to make when it is going to reflected back from the reflective surface with respect to the normal. That is pi 1 should be equal to pi 2. This is how you have to tell in terms of the words, or you have to elaborate. This is the law of reflection, all we know it. Second one, the law of refraction. So this is important. That is going to decide the bending towards what your ray of light is bending. Whether the ray of light after incidenting, you can see here, this is the less denser medium and this is a more denser medium. So for the refraction to occur, this phenomena, the ray of light must pass through two different media having different densities. So different densities will make two different media. And why this bending is occurring when the ray of light is passing through two different media having two different densities? It is because, remember, this is very key point I'm telling. This is because we know that suppose if this less denser medium, if you take it as a air, and more denser medium, if you take it as a glass, in air we know that the ray of light is 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. Okay, because air is less denser and glass is more denser. So when ray of light enter the glass, certainly its velocity will be affected depending on the density. Okay, suppose if you take the density here, it is more compared to the air, then it will make your ray to bend towards the normal. Understanding? So what I'm telling in terms of densities, the second medium density is more than the first medium density will make the refracted ray bend more towards the normal. Vice versa, reciprocal. If the ray of light entering from more denser medium to the lower denser medium, that will occur when this same ray of light, when it tries to pass out from this glass to air. While doing so, it will try to bend because it is trying to move from the medium with the higher denser medium to lower denser medium. Then it will make reflected light to bend away from the normal. This is a very key point. What are the things which will make the refracted ray to bend towards the normal and away from the normal? Towards the normal, when you are entering into more denser medium. Away from the normal, when you are entering into the lesser denser medium. That's all. This is about the law of refraction. Then refractive index. Refractive index is just extension of refraction. It will gives you the measure of amount of bending. How much amount, how much by amount, by some number you have to tell. Simply we cannot tell that it has bent by less or more. By some quantity we want. That is given by refractive index by measuring it has a ratio of velocity of light in air to the speed of light in medium. That's all. So coming to the Snell's law, so it describes how the ray is going to interact at the interface of the two media. If you look into this figure, I want you to see here, it is a little bit blurred. Okay, you can enlarge there on your screen in your mobile. So you can see here we got two media once again. Medium 1 having refractive index N1 and medium 2 having refractive index N2. Again, we know that the refractive index depends on the density. Okay. Now the ray of light entering from medium 1 making angle pi 1 entering into the medium 2 having refractive index N2 and it is refracted. Now the condition is given N1 greater than N2. Refractive index of the medium 1 is greater than refractive index of the medium 2, which will make this to bend towards the normal. Means refractive indices and densities are reciprocally related. Okay. So it is entering from less N1 to more N1 to less N2 because N1 is greater than N2 has stored. So it is bending towards the normal. Otherwise, it will bend away from the normal unrefracted ray. By how much amount it will bend towards the normal, that much amount of refraction is taking place. If bending is gone decreasing, refraction is also gone reducing. That's all. That is the main theme of refraction. Otherwise, if bending is not at all happening, not much bending is happening, means refraction is not at all happening. Bending is nothing but refraction. It is all. That's all. That's what actually described by this Snell's law. That is giving you the relationship between two media at the interface of N1 and N2. So N1 sin pi 1 equal to N2 sin pi 2. So here he is trying to explain the refracted wave will be bending towards the normal when N1 less than N2. It will bend towards the normal when N1 less than N2. Sorry, I have told wrongly. I apologize for that one. So when N1 less than N2, it bend towards the normal. Medium 1 refractive index N1 is smaller. Medium 2 refractive index N2 is larger. In that case, it will bend towards the normal. So sorry, correct. Both the refractive indices and densities are same. And will away from the normal when sorry, N1 greater than N2. Remember, this is a very important discussion we will be having today as a part of Snell's law here. So if we express a refractive index in terms of C by its physics definition, this one, using refractive index N equal to C by V, if you substitute this one here, you will get the relationship in terms of velocities. Same thing, you try to remember this as a formula, which is useful in solving the formulas, the problems. Now the critical angle. When the angle of incidence pi 1 will go on increasing. So this pi 1. When you go on increasing this angle of incidence, then one situation, then it will also go on increasing pi 2. ಇದು pi 1 increase ಆಗ್ತದೆ pi 2 increase ಹಾಕೋತ anti clockwise ಬಂದು ಇಲ್ಲಿ 90 degree ಬಂದಿರುತ್ತೆ. It is like this. Here it will come like this. It will bend towards the away from the normal, and it will become almost parallel to this what you can say this media. The angle pi 1 which will make pi to 90 degree is called critical angle. Okay. So when this happens, refracted light ray travels along the interface. This is the refracted ray which is traveling along the interface. And the responsible pi 1 incident angle, it is called critical angle. That's all. Now in this case, pi 1 will become pi c, critical angle, pi 2 will become 90 degree. That you can substitute here, Snell's law. N1 sin pi 1 equal to N2 sin pi 2. So sin pi 2 will become pi c. So you will get the relationship sin 90 is 1 So we'll get pi c equal to sine inverse of n2 by n. This relation now we got, no? So this is a very important derivation we are observing today for the critical angle derivation. So this has been asked many times in the exams. So this is the actual value of critical angle, which is showing that this critical angle is mainly depending on the refractive indices of the both the media. Then coming to TIR, when the incident angle is further increased beyond this critical angle, then light rays does not pass through the interface, then it will undergo TIR, total internal reflection. So what are the two conditions, important conditions for the TIR to happen? Refractive index of the first medium N1 must be greater than N2. N1 should be greater than N2. When N1 is sorry, when N1 is greater than N2, yes, sorry, 1 minute. When N1 greater than N2, it will bend away from the normal. That's what it is happening here. It is bending away from the normal. So when you try to understand the analogy here, who is increasing the angle of incidence here? So he now he has to shown N2 and N1 here. By God. Okay. So changing N1 and 2 here and there. Okay, not to distract by that one. So when what is telling N1 is greater than N2, this one. Refractive index of the first medium should be larger, this one. This should be larger than this one. So when you go on increasing the refractive index of the first medium, that will make to increase the angle of incidence. Okay. When you further increase the angle of incidence by increasing the refractive index of the medium 1, they are making this one to go beyond this phi 2. Means it will not undergo refraction, it will undergo total internal reflection, TIR. Another important thing, the angle of incidence must be greater than the critical angle. Angle of incidence, this one should be greater than the critical angle. So these are the two conditions should be governed by TIR, total internal reflection to occur. So TIR can be observed only in the materials in which velocity of light is less than air. This is very important. TIR can occur when, if you want TIR to occur in this core, then the speed of light in this core should be less than the cladding or the air. Obviously that will happen because the density of the core, because of its construction, should be different than the air. So that will contribute for the less velocity of the light compared to air, and contributing for, if you later satisfy these two conditions, then you are able to get the TIR. Let us see some numericals here. A light ray is incident from medium 1 to medium 2 if the refractive indices of medium 1 and medium 2 are 1.5 and 1.36. Okay, means N1 and N2. Here it is written N1 and N1 ಯಾವ್ದು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇರ್ತದೆ core ಅಂತ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕು, because by construction we want this. Determine the angle of refraction. For the angle of incidence 30. Angle of incidence ಕೊಟ್ಟಂದ್ರೆ pi 1 ಅಂತ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕು. Angle of refraction now is asking. So you take it as angle of refraction, that is pi 2. Substitute the things, you will get it. A very simple problem. Next one, a light ray is incident from glass to air. First medium is glass, second medium is air. So first medium is glass, N1 it is given, not given in the problem, I have written. That's why I told you to remember the refractive index of glass, water, air. ಒಂದು ಮೂರ್ನಾಲ್ಕು ಮೆಟೀರಿಯಲ್ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಗುರ್ತಿರ್ಬೇಕು, ಅದು ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ನಾರ್ಮಲಿ ಕೊಡಂಗಿಲ್ಲ ನಾವು. Refractive index of air is 1. We can know that one. Substitute the things here. Then calculate the critical angle is asking. So from the definition of critical angle, if you are saying pi 1 as pi c, pi 2 should be 90 degree. Substitute the things here, we'll get the critical angle. So directly, if you want, you can make use of the formula that has we just discussed there. This formula also, if you want, you can use directly. Not necessary to do any derivation as we are doing here. But the from the problem, at least you can mention that what are the given data and which formula you are using. Then you can calculate the things. Present the answers. Calculate the NA numerical aperture, acceptance angle, and critical angle for the fiber having N1, that is the core index 1.5 and cladding 1.45. So this is the relationship between the delta and refractive indices you can calculate. So this delta, what you mean by delta, that we can see later, but you remember right now. So numerical aperture NA is given by N1 square root of 2 delta. You can substitute the things, you will get the numerical aperture. And acceptance angle is given by sine inverse of numerical aperture, you will get it. And I want you to, for whatever the problems I am discussing today, calculate it using your calculator in which mode you are keeping radian mode when you are dealing with the trigonometric functions, and try to get them in terms of degrees. Critical angle sine inverse of n2 by n1 will get. Now coming to this optical fiber as a waveguide, continuing the discussion. An optical fiber is a cylindrical dielectric waveguide capable of carrying electromagnetic waves at optical frequencies. This is important. So in a very key word, an optical fiber helping us to carry electromagnetic waves at optical frequencies. See here. Intensity modulated wave means my speech signal is modulated by photons carrying electric and magnetic fields. Photons are now carrying the field components, electric and magnetic field components at optical frequencies. Electromagnetic energy is in the form of light and propagates along the axis of the fiber. So the structure he is telling, the structure of the single mode fiber is like this. Inside innermost is a core having refractive index N1 greater than N2. That is the index of the cladding, outer covering. And above that you will get the external coating. So the actual construction has been shown here with some typical dimensions. This is the single mode. Single mode means single ray. Propagation and standard size of the fiber has been given here. So the condition has been given for TR to occur, N1 should be greater than N2 and critical angle condition should be exceeded to get the TIR option. Now let us consider another aspect. Here fiber axis has been shown with single mode optical fiber communication. Here having N0 as 1. Incident ray is going to incident at point P, making external angle of incidence, that is pi naught, with the refraction angle pi 1 inside the core, critical angle pi c at Q it is happening, N1 glass core, N2 is the cladding, and we are assuming N1 greater than N2. Some typical values also have been shown to understand it easily. Let us see how to do the derivation for acceptance angle. Again, it will be derived from the Snell's law itself. Applying the Snell's law to external incidence angle, this one, that is N naught sine theta sine pi naught. N naught is a air index, sine pi naught external angle of incidence, that is equal to N1 index of the glass core pi 1 is the angle of refraction. or angle that is happening in the core. Now we know that by this triangle, I want to see it in detail. You can see this triangle PQR, this one. Pi 1, I want to find out sum of all angles in the triangle is 180 degree. This is 90 because critical angle we have considered for TR to occur. Okay, pi c is there. So this should be 90 degree. So pi 1 what will get, that should be equal to 90 minus pi c. Okay, pi 1 from this triangle PQR will get pi 1, that will become equal to 90 minus pi c. So sin pi 1 will take sin of 90 minus pi c, that will become cos pi c. You can substitute this one here back. N0 sin pi naught equal to N1 cos pi c. So sin pi 1 will be converted to cos pi c by applying the analogy from this triangle PQR. Okay. Now from the Pythagorean theorem to triangle PQR. Okay. So if you look at this triangle, so this ray PQ will indicate the ray that is transversing in the glass core having index N1. So take it as N1. I will take PQ as N1. Why I am taking and how I am taking PQ as N1? Because this will PQ will indicate the ray of light, path of the ray of light. PQ will indicate the path of the ray of light in N1 in a glass core that is having the refractive index N1. So I will take PQ as N1 and PR. This appears to be parallel to horizontal to cladding. I will take this as N2. Its image I will take it as a N2. Then QR will become by Pythagoras theorem. It will become square root of N1 square minus N2 square. That's what we are trying to get here. So you can see here cos pi c, that will become equal to cos pi c means what? Cos pi c means adjacent by hypotenuse. What is adjacent? Adjacent is square root of N1 square minus N2 square. Divided by hypotenuse is N1, what you have just discussed. Okay. So that you can similarly you will get sin pi naught and resolve this. You can see here I have shown separate diagram here. We will get pi naught derivation that will indicate maximum value of the external incidence angle. Pi naught we have shown, no, external incidence angle. So maximum value when you will get, when air index medium N naught will be taken as 1. You will get it as this one is the maximum angle of acceptance angle. This one. Acceptance cone, it will indicate the pattern, cone shaped pattern described by the acceptance angle. Here it has been shown. Acceptance angle means maximum incident angle. So then full rotate material in the shape of cone, that will give cone shaped structure, that is called acceptance cone. So this will give you the measure of how much amount of light is falling effectively on the aperture of the fiber core. Next, numerical aperture. It will actually going to measure the figure of merit, indicates its light gathering capability. Numerical aperture, just now I described, no, it's an effective area of the core that is going to capture the light. Okay, it is a capturing ability of the core. So numerical aperture is given by sine theta naught maximum. That is a theta naught pi naught maximum means it is a maximum acceptance angle. Okay, that is given by sine pi naught max underscore root of n1 square minus underscore by n naught. If you use this triangle sine pi naught, if you apply, you will get this one. But n naught is 1 for air. You will get numerical aperture that is equal to square root of n core square minus n Claddagh square. Or if you take the reverse reciprocal of that one also, you will get like this. Some numericals are coming there, very simple numericals. Calculate the numerical aperture and acceptance angle for a fiber cable for which n core and cladding. So numerical aperture formula we know, just we have derived underscore root of n core square minus n Claddagh square, you will get it. Acceptance angle nothing but sine inverse of this one, you will get it acceptance angle. So today what you can do, you can do these practice these derivations, very simple derivations, by starting with the Snell's laws and describing these diagrams. These diagrams are important. This diagram and this diagram and this derivation, all the way you have discussed. So practice these diagrams along with their description and derivations, and try to solve the problems, and with the calculator you see whether you are able to get those degrees answers or not. So calculation is very much important. I will stop today's discussion.